Hey, Maps and Mittens, welcome to my side of the week with Dragon Age the Veilguard. We're going to be playing Dragon Age the Veilguard, me and Spencer, independently and vlogging our time with the game throughout the week. So this is the beginning of my week. I will be starting playing after I finish this recording, actually. We're doing this because not only do I think it would be interesting, this was my idea, not only do I think it would be interesting to kind of check out this game that, me and Spencer make fun of Dragon Age the Veilguard a lot because we just know it had a pretty negative feedback last year, but we haven't really experienced it. And I think this is going to be interesting because we're both coming at this game from different perspectives. Spencer, I don't know if he's ever enjoyed a BioWare game past Knights of the Old Republic. Me, on the other hand, I used to be a huge BioWare fan. I say used to be because I think after the last Dragon Age game, Inquisition, I don't think I've enjoyed any of their games. Like Mass Effect Andromeda had aspects that I think could have been good, but was ultimately a flawed project, and the less we talk about Anthem, the better. But I used to love BioWare. They used to be one of my favorite developers. Games like the old Baldur's Gates, Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, especially Mass Effect and Dragon Age were huge for me. There's somebody on a motorcycle going by. Shoot, can you hear that? So, I used to be huge into these games. Here's my original copies of the original Dragon Age games. There's Origins and Awakening 2 and Inquisition. I love these games. I played the shit out of them. So I'm going into this optimistic that I can find something to like as a Dragon Age fan, as opposed to, I don't think Spencer is a Dragon Age fan, so we'll see how this turns out. We're not allowed to talk to each other during this process, so that should be interesting. We can talk, but we can't talk about the game or anything about these vlogs during this whole week. So with it being Monday, I'm about to start playing. I did already start technically. I created my character the other night, just to go ahead and get that out of the way. That way, during this week, I can jump right in. And I have to say, first impressions on the character creator, which you should be seeing gameplay footage here, not bad. The character creator wasn't bad. It reminded me of the old character creators that BioWare used to have. So I was pretty happy with the way that my character came out. And I played a few minutes of the gameplay, but not much to really get an impression yet. The only thing I can say is right now is that I liked the character creator and I liked some of the visual style. I think the visual style, while it looks different than the older games, it doesn't look bad. I do kind of like it. So we'll see where we go from here. So today I am going to start playing, and I will be logging back in probably at the end of the night when I know that I'm done playing for the day. I will be back to tell you my thoughts. I'm gonna go back inside because the mosquitoes out here are eating me alive.
Hi. So I'm downloading Dragon Age the Veilguard right now, and boy, I have no idea what to expect here. For my history, I'm sure Alex is going to go into his history. I played... my first BioWare game was KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. And I love KOTOR. I still play KOTOR sometimes, every once in a while these days. I think it's a fantastic game. It's probably my favorite Star Wars game. Not my favorite RPG, but it's up there. It's a great game. And... I'm not obsessed with old BioWare. I never really played Baldur's Gate 1 or 2. That's really KOTOR's, now that I think about it, KOTOR's really the only BioWare game that I've ever really dug a lot of time into. Dragon Age. I played the first Dragon Age just a little bit, and I liked it. But that era of gaming, I was really out. I just stopped playing around the time I got that game, I'm sure, and I just dropped it. And every time I've tried to come back, it's just been it's been awkward, and it's been there's not a great way to play it now. It seems like every version that I see, everyone says they're like busted or they're buggy and stuff. So I think it really just needs a remaster. Probably not gonna get it, but yeah, BioWare, really post Dragon Age, I think BioWare's just been awful. I'm one of the rare people that just does not like Mass Effect, especially the first one. I heard that it gets better as the series goes on, but I literally have tried playing Mass Effect 1 3 or 4 times, and just as soon as I get like past the training mission, that first mission, I just stop. I can't stand it. So that whole series is basically done for me. I don't care. And then Dragon Age, I tried playing Inquisition, and I despised it. I hated it. I think EA has just gutted that company. So now that, now we're here at Dragon Age, the Veilguard. That's what it's called. I'm sure there's backstory to it that if you're a Dragon Age fan, it matters. To me, it won't. So I don't know if that's going to be a reference point, but none of it will matter to me. Let's see. I've heard things. I've seen cutscenes. So some little details have been spoiled for me just for, being around the gaming sphere. I've learned a couple things that are not to its credit. So, but not a whole lot. Like as far as gameplay goes, I'm pretty much blank slate. I'm pretty confident it is definitely an action RPG and not more of like a Knights of the Old Republic original Dragon Age style. So my expectations are to play an action RPG, and then maybe that'll be fun. I don't know. I'm curious. Graphically, I'm sure it looks beautiful. We'll see. So that's something to look forward to. But yeah, that's about all I can say as far as what this experience will be. I'll keep positive. I've certainly heard a lot of negative, but I'll try to keep positive and just experience it, and we'll see where it leads. But I have high hopes, and I can't wait to fight dragons in this Dragon Age. We'll see.
Hey everybody, welcome to day one. I have just played an hour of Dragon Age the Veilguard. Back there, that's not, I'm watching a podcast, don't worry about that. But I am about to make dinner. I'm making cheese quesadillas. Spencer, come on over. I figured while I'm setting up to make my cheese quesadillas, I would put up my camera here and talk about my hour with the game. So sadly, I have to recapture the footage from the first chapter because I didn't realize my PlayStation 5 was out of space. So now I have to worry about that. But I did play through the first, I guess, chapter and like the intro of the game and like the first whole chapter. And the main setup of the game is that one of the elves, Solus, has tried to take down the Veil, which has unleashed these 2 elven gods. They tried to stop Solus, 2 elven gods. I don't know. Solus is from the older games. And basically now these 2 elven gods are walking the earth. You have like a weird connection with Solus who's stuck in this dream world. And it's up to you to fix the problem. That's basically the setup of the game. Not an awful start, I think, story-wise, but something that I picked up on right away is this game's dialogue. This game has some dreadful dialogue. I mean, truly dreadful dialogue. The dialogue in this game feels like what would happen if you made an AI watch every bad Marvel movie and then had him write a script, or had it write, I don't know why I gendered the AI, had it write a script. There are moments that, like, where they're talking about like, oh man, I forgot the name of the two villains, but they say it all the damn time. That's how I guess that's how memorable they are. Where they're like, oh man, so and so are free, and then it's like, well, I guess we gotta stop them. Like that kind of dialogue. Like nobody in this game is taking any of their responsibilities seriously. It feels like everybody's jokey. Everybody's a little jokey guy, which is a weird contrast because the older Dragon Age games were very much steeped in like dark fantasy. And that's something that I also feel with this art style change. The art style change is, I don't mind the art style, but it also doesn't feel like Dragon Age. Because Dragon Age was always kind of grimy and bloody. And now it feels like kind of cartoony in a way and bright. The gameplay is now an action game, which is confusing also because the old Dragon Age games were closer to like a CRPG, like closer to what you expect from older BioWare games like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. And now it's just a straight up hack and slash. I haven't minded the gameplay so far, the combat. I like hack and slash games. I like action games, so like I haven't minded that as much. But it's just confusing. I'm just perplexed on why you would try to make a Dragon Age game and then like basically strip away all of the identity of Dragon Age. Other than like a few character names and like some lore and you know the classes and stuff, like it doesn't feel like Dragon Age. I'm trying not to let that get in the way of me enjoying the game. You know, as a fan, it is disappointing, but I still want to see if there's something in this game I can enjoy. And so far, like, I haven't hated the combat. The first area I went through was like this wooded area. We had to solve these puzzles by putting glowing crystals in this area, like doors, which that's not really a puzzle, but tons of games do that shit. And then also, like, there were moments where you had to use like giant crossbows to shoot enemies, which felt like turret sections almost, which was weird. But so far, I haven't hated the gameplay. The dialogue is dreadful, and I'm kind of confused on some of the direction. But I'm going to pick it back up tomorrow. I'm very tired. I only played about an hour today. Tomorrow, I have like a half day at work because I have a doctor's appointment, so I got a lot more time tomorrow to put in. So check back in tomorrow. I doubt Spencer's having a good time. In fact, I could probably guess he's not. How you doing over there, Spencer?
Hey guys, day one of me, where's the thing? Day one of me playing Dragon Age, and I wanted to focus on the character customization and just some of the initial thoughts coming out of the gate. I'm not playing in large sprints, so just taking my time, short, trying to take in Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Character customization, I was impressed by it, I will say that. I didn't play around with it too much. In fact, I took a pretty custom stock character. But I looked around, and a couple things that stuck out to me are graphically, it kind of reminds me of like World of Warcraft if they were going, like if World of Warcraft was made now. So what I mean by that is that it's not the most graphically intensive design. Like this wouldn't compete with like Baldur's Gate or maybe what you would expect from this generation. It seems kind of older, but it's a cohesive look that I think once you take it in, it is good. It's not great, but it is good. And for that, I'm okay with it. And like I said, it reminds me a little bit of World of Warcraft. Like the bold colors, but not overly detailed. So that's what it reminds me of, and I think that's okay. It's a stylistic choice, and it seems to play well with what they're doing. I'm trying to remember me first playing Dragon Age, and if I've said Baldur's Gate at any point, I apologize, except for when I meant to. For some reason, those two just stick in my head as the same game. There's certain reasons for that, obviously. But yeah, Dragon Age, what was I trying to say? It just has a cohesive look, I guess, is where I get down to. One criticism on starting the game is that it really starts you out with full throttle action, which I know a lot of games are doing nowadays. And it reminds me of playing Dungeons and Dragons with a new DM. Like he was like a new player, but for some reason he wanted to be a DM as well. I've done that before, and it's usually disastrous. And they want the beginning to be over the top and dramatic and shove a lot of things at you. And like this is no different. You're teleporting to different places. You're zooming through dialogues and all this stuff, and it's like I'm a really simple guy, and I really prefer. I play Dragon Quest, and in Dragon Quest, most of the games start with you in a forest, in a cottage, like in a small town, and you're just kind of learning about the world, making your way through, and then the story just gradually expands. But I think in modern gaming, a lot of times we're doing like, you have to start loud and big, and it just keeps, it's like, and whereas I like games that start simple. Who are these characters? What are they like? And then you slowly expand. So, just a personal choice. I don't know if there's anything wrong with it, but it's just how I prefer my RPGs. But that's all I have for now. I don't hate it. It's not something I think I would play on my own. In a lot of ways, it feels generic, but I'm waiting for more. So we'll see. Not a bad start. Not a bad start. So.
Hey everyone, this is Tuesday, and I just got done playing some more Dragon Age the Veilguard. The other reason why I stopped is because I have a bit of a migraine today, so I only played about an hour, so I don't really want to play any video games today. I did, I think, a total of 3 quests. Quests, what they call them. Really, it's just points of progression in the narrative. Because, like, there's not really, like, a quest system. The game's just kind of streamlined, it seems like. And you just kind of go level to level. And it's definitely an action game. I would hesitate to call this an RPG. I mean, I've recently played Final Fantasy 16. That had more openness, even though it's also like more of an action game. That had more openness and like more stuff to explore and do. I haven't found any of that in this game yet. It's just so strange because it makes it not feel like a BioWare. Like, a lot of this game doesn't feel like a BioWare game to me, which is disappointing. Because I'm a huge fan. Like, for example, one of the areas that I went to was this town that was, like, covered in blight. And, like, there's people stuck in, like, being used for a blood sacrifice and stuff. And there's this choice where I found the guy that kind of, like, was controlled by the evil gods and led the people to this village to be sacrificed. And in any other early BioWare game, this would have been like a really good, impactful moment. But I think it's just because like the writing and the dialogue is so bad in this game, and I have no sense of accomplishment for the gameplay so far, that I was barely in the town at all. Then I found the guy, he's stuck in this thing, and basically your options are like set him free, or keep him, or like keep him there as punishment. I chose to keep him there as punishment. And there's no real, like, weight. They were just like, okay. And then they just left. There was no real weight to the scenario. Which baffles me because in, like, an earlier game like Mass Effect 1, in Mass Effect 1, you get to this planet, you go to this, like, station, and it's been taken over by, like, an alien plant parasite. And it's such a cool moment because there is this, like, sense of dread and choice. I don't remember exactly what the choice is anymore because I haven't played through that game since like 2019. But yeah, it was like it felt impactful. I still remember it. I doubt I'm going to remember this in a year, 2 years, 3 years. So, and I thought of something earlier. A lot of what I'm feeling with Dragon Age the Veilguard is also what I feel with another PS5 game I played recently, which is Forspoken. Forspoken shares a lot of the issues, I think. Mainly, like, what you're doing in these games are, like, the combat and, like, just the way the game looks and stuff. It's not like inherently terrible. Like, they look good. The combat feels fine. But the writing is so terrible. It's so terrible and, like, wants to be fun and playful. But whenever you're giving me situations where you're also trying to make me, like, invested in the story and, like, care about the characters and care about these situations, but then you have this just bullshit awful dialogue, it deflates everything. It makes me not care about what's happening. And I'm really questioning if the team that made Dragon Age the Veilguard, if they even played a Dragon Age game. Because even the last one, Inquisition, like, got a lot of praise, and it was a pretty damn good game, and it felt like dark fantasy. I'm questioning if they even played a Dragon Age game before making this, or if they were just handed a dossier of, like, the characters, the world, the lore, you know? I'm not looking forward to playing tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, I'm back. Okay, so let's see. I finished the first main quest. I got through it. I learned, like, how the combat works. I'm a warrior. I like to be warriors nowadays. Like, back in the day, I used to be all about being a wizard. And I think in like MMOs, I still like being a wizard. Because it takes the pressure off. Like, I don't have to be a tank. Even though tanks, I think, get queued easier, but healers also get queued easier. So I think I prefer to be a healer than a tank. And then otherwise, just like a magic using damage dealer. But in this game, I decided I would just be the tank, or, well, I guess a tank and a warrior. And combat. It's weird because I'm struggling to define it. It's not bad, but it doesn't seem great. And I'm talking, so action RPG, obviously the pinnacle of that would be like a Dark Souls, I think. Although this isn't, necessarily trying to be that. But you think about, like, how tight things are, how it feels, how the weapons feel, how everything feels. It feels a little arcadey, which may be what they were going for. It takes elements of those games, dodge mechanics, blocking, parrying, etc. It takes those ideas, and they seem surface level. Again, this is very early in the game, so everything could get more advanced and maybe get pushed further. I'm not sure. There's a little bit of AoE on the ground combat, which I'm cool with. That's the MMO kind of deal. Yeah, it seems fun. I could see myself getting very bored with the combat, but as of playing it, I'm okay with it. One thing that does worry me, but I'm reserving judgment, because again, this is very, very early in the game, is there's a lot of, like, narrow corridors, and even if they're, how do I word this? I'm trying to sound like too pretentious or too much of an adult. I'm trying to find the middle ground. I'm nervous that I what video games can do really well is make you feel like you're in a world, but you're actually in a corridor, like a grand world, but you're in a corridor. You're in a one track. I think that's what I like about RPGs, is that they tend to, especially like the ones I play, like Dragon Quest and some Final Fantasies, not calling out certain ones, but I think what they do that's really great is they present you this grand world, and there's almost like the promise that you'll be able to explore it, even if at first or for long stretches of the game it is like a one-way street. You can still say, wow, there's this grand world, I can't wait to like go over that mountain over there. I get the impression from the way this is built that that's not the case. It seems very much like a straight line. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of games I like are like that. The Last of Us, single player, straight line, and I'm fine with that. But I think with RPGs, I tend to prefer like the more open experience, even if it's not really open. Just the fact that it feels like that is great. And I'm not getting that from this. That might not be the game they wanted to make. Hey, and that's neither here nor there. But I think I prefer just like the grander feeling experience. We'll see how it goes. But that's I would guess that's going to continue. So, be that as it is. Girlfriend's here. She's trying to get in.
So, this is Wednesday, and I just spent another, I want to say 2 hours, it was, playing some more Dragon Age the Veilguard. And I played through a couple chapters, and I do think like the art design in the game is decent. I went to one area which I'll talk about, which I thought like actually looked visually appealing. I like that. I'm having a hard time like separating myself from BioWare and their past work with this one. Apparently eBay wants me to buy something. My phone just told me that. So, in older BioWare games, one of the aspects that I loved was the fact that during the game you would form a relationship with your party that made you like actually really care about the party. And this happened in all 3 of the original Mass Effect games. This happened in the Dragon Age games, including even 2. Like, I know people have issues with the second game, but even in 2, like, I found myself forming, pretty close relationships with these characters and caring about my party. And it makes you care about, like, who you take on, like, certain quests and, like, your, just, like, the story beats, like, like, what outcomes you want to get. It makes you care about that stuff, and I had a revelation today while I was playing that I didn't care about anybody except for like Varric, but Varric's not really a party member. He's just there to not only like remind you like of when Dragon Age was cool, but also he's just kind of there as a plot point in this game. The party that I actually have is, of course, my main character, Rook. And then at this point, it was, when I started playing, it was 3 other characters. 2 of them have been with me from the start, and then one of them I picked up on the first chapter. Or like, the first chapter, like past the prologue, I guess you would say. And I haven't cared about them. I haven't cared about like what they're going through or who they are. I haven't really looked into it. I haven't spent any meaningful time with them. They've just sort of been there. So like whenever I make decisions and it says like so-and-so approves, so-and-so disapproves, I don't give a fuck. Like what do I care about this person? You haven't given me a reason. And I actually played through a chapter today where I felt a little bit of that spark. This is what I was talking about with the visually, appealing thing. I was tasked with going into this prison and helping. I think he's a mercenary, helping him escape. So we go to this prison, which is like this underwater realm. It looks really cool. You'll see it in the gameplay, and I have to help him escape. But before he can escape, I have to help him break a vial of his blood that whoever had, I forget what the races are and stuff and the factions, but they have there at the prison that keep him under their control. And also he has a contract, which is why he was there in the first place, to kill the warden. So like, I was like, okay, like this is actually like a decent setup for a quest area. The gameplay is still the same: hack and slash, walk down a hallway, kind of look around. It's kind of the game really railroads you. Which, by the way, game developers in the year 2025, I swear to God, stop making me slide down shit. Why does it seem like in every fucking game that I play now that has like a narrative, there's moments where the character has to slide down shit, like multiple times. Stop making me do that. I'm tired of seeing that animation. There was some of that in this level. But and then whenever you first see the character, he looks cool, he's doing like cool action stuff, you're like, okay, that's a cool guy. And then he joins your party, you help him through this mission, and then you find out like he's possessed by this demon named Spite, who none of the other party, including you, can see. So that's like an interesting concept, and my little mini quest with this guy and like the little story we had there like actually got me to like care about this one character, and I was like, oh my god, they did it. Like, it's not like even remotely close to what I felt in the older BioWare games, but I was like, they actually made me care about somebody in this fucking game, which is an accomplishment, if a small one.
Okay, so did not get almost no time. I got almost no time playing today. Something happened, and I had to respond to that. So nature calls sometimes, and you got to move forward. So I got past the Solace part, and I was in the temple, and then I left, and I did some upgrades, which was nice. Looks like a pretty large tree, which is pretty cool. Let's see. There's a lot to... The only thing that I can think of that is worth talking about is I'm pretty sure I was right when it comes to the maps. There's not a lot of exploration, and it's pretty straightforward, cut and dry, which is, like I said before, it's disappointing, but I also don't think it's wrong. It's just my personal preference. I don't know what people are thinking about it, but either way, not enough time. I'll play more tomorrow. See you then. Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Thursday, and I just got done playing some more Dragon Age the Veilguard. Or Dragon Age Veilguard? The Veilguard? I don't remember. So, I played like 2 missions, 2 quests, I guess you would say, if you want to call them that, in Docktown. And the entire time I was playing, which was gruesome. I played like an hour and a half, and it felt like 5 years of my life. I was just thinking about how recently I had played this year. I hadn't finished these games, but I had played Final Fantasy 16, Persona 3 Reload. I had played Expedition 33. I had played that other... What the fuck is that game called? Metaphor Refantasio. You know, and... like... I would rather be playing any of those RPGs. At least, like, they feel... Like, those games are, like, even Final Fantasy 16, which I know people have issues with, like... Felt like an open, big RPG that I could really sink my teeth into. I don't understand why Dragon Age the Veilguard exists. To me, it feels like this new BioWare, because I doubt it's a lot of the original team. It felt like they wanted to make a hack and slash game or something. Maybe with like a medieval setting or some kind of fantasy setting. And it felt like somebody, EA, the heads of BioWare, somebody was like, you know, we have a fantasy series, right? Like, you guys make a fantasy series, like, here's Dragon Age. Because nothing about it feels reminiscent of Dragon Age, outside of the name. Like, it doesn't feel like Dragon Age. It doesn't look like Dragon Age. Like, it really isn't Dragon Age, except for in the name. Which is upsetting because, like, There was a point in my life, again, I used to love BioWare. And there was a point in my life where I would come home from school. I was in high school around the time that the original Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 came out. I would come home from school and I would just play those games for hours. I would just get lost in those games. And I was playing today, and I was thinking about Dragon Age Origins in particular, because Dragon Age Origins is such a good game, a game that really like deserves some kind of remaster or remake treatment. Not by this team, God forbid. But I was sitting here thinking about Dragon Age Origins and how great the class system is, and the story, how like big and grand the adventure feels, how the Awakening DLC is fantastic. It also stands on its own. Like, it's such a good game that still holds up to this day. And Dragon Age the Veilguard came out, I don't even know how many months at the time of this recording. It was last year, so it's probably like almost a year by now, or close to, we're getting close. And I'm playing this and I'm like, this is the most by the numbers garbage I've ever played. And I don't understand how we started at Origins and we're here. And I really don't want to play this anymore. But I have to play tomorrow, so I'm going to see it through. My rule of thumb for myself is, because I don't have a lot of time to play games during the week, because I work and I do other things. I have a life, you know. So my rule of thumb tomorrow, or, you know, every day, but, you know, so I have to do this tomorrow as well, is I've been playing like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere around there. I think one day I played longer, but God, I really don't want to play any more of this game, and I am a BioWare fan, so if I'm suffering this bad playing this game, I really feel for Spencer right now, because I know he's probably hating this. So I guess I will see you on tomorrow, which is Friday.
Hey guys, it's me again. A quick update for day 4 of Baldur's Gate, the Veilguard. Okay, I made it through the next chapter, as it were, the next area. I was right when I thought it would be very linear instead of open. But the combat's actually growing on me. I kind of like I'm really mastering like parrying and stuff, and it's not like the most complex, and maybe I'll get bored, but I'm actually enjoying it. I kind of like some of the interactions that you can do with the characters too. Like, you can get them to cast spells, which is, I mean, other things can do that, but I don't know, I liked how they did it. And I like that in the environment you can make them interact with the environment if it's appropriate. Again, they're simple things. They're not like crazy, wow, oh my god, but it's just like, they're just things I played and I said, oh, I kind of like that. Some of the enemies just seem kind of spongy, to be honest, which I don't like, but I'm enjoying the combat enough that usually I'm okay with it. So that's kind of where I am. I'm surprised. I didn't think I would like it, but I could probably actually play this long term, at least on my 4th day here. So we'll see what the next day brings, but I don't know. Is it weird that I kind of like it? The graphics, I think the thing about graphics is you tend to get used to them. It's kind of like a TV. Like, everyone thinks they really want a big TV, and I certainly like big TVs, but it's amazing how quick the brain like gets used to it. And the graphics, I've just gotten used to it. I'm with it. I'm sitting in it. I'm not like, oh, this looks bad. Granted, I'm sure if I swapped over and played like Baldur's Gate 3 or something, or just like a really good-looking game, maybe something would happen. But it certainly looks like a good PS4 game, which wasn't that long ago. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. The story, I don't give two shits, but that's not really the game's fault. I'm just not a guy that obsesses over the stories in these games. I really just like digging into the gameplay and playing the character. So I don't really see that as a negative. It's just I just don't care. Um, I could see the potential, some of the puzzles and some of the exploration, even of just like a small area. It is the way that they're able to do like there was like a if you open this door, you could then use like a gigantic crossbow, like not handheld, but like a I'm sure they're called a siege weapon, a ballista or something, and you would use that to destroy a wall, which was kind of cool. Like it was simple, but I kind of liked it, and it felt impactful. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to explain my experience, which is I'm kind of baffled by, to be honest, but actually pretty good. Who'd have thunk it? I kind of like it. I'm very curious what Alex thinks about it on day 4. But and I guess day 5 I'll do my full wrap up. But I kind of like it. All right, see ya.
It's Friday, Friday. I just played my last bout of Dragon Age the Veilguard. God, I played through 2 areas. I got to like what I think is actually like the first big choice of the game, which is concerning because I'm like 6 hours in. You know, I'm playing it a couple hours every day and stuff. It's a little concerning because I don't know. I felt like there's been nothing up to this point, but I did get to a part to where I had to like make a choice that felt like it actually had impact on the world. I had to choose. There were 2 cities being attacked by dragons. One of the party members wanted to go to one. One of the party members wanted to go to the other one. They're both from those cities. Obviously, they want to save their city. And I had to choose the one I wanted to go to. I mean, not bad. Not a bad choice, honestly. So that gives me hope that there will be more moments like that throughout the game. Because up until this point, I haven't had much to work with. So, like, today was a good day. Because even for a second, even for the small moment, the small choice I'm having to make at the, you know, I don't know how long this game is. I want to be upfront. I have not looked that up. But for what I assume is still the earlier parts of the game, yeah, like there was actually something that like kind of had some like levity. So that's cool. I am glad it's the last day. I think a lot of like what has made me not like this game is I think I chose a particularly bad week to do this because I have been not feeling well all week, and like today I have a throbbing migraine. So I think I just chose a bad like week to do my side of the vlog. But I am glad it's over. And I'll talk about like my final thoughts and everything in the final section that I'm going to record right after this, so the backdrop will look exactly the same. But yeah, I can say today was a pleasant surprise with the game. Still not sold on this game. I can definitely tell you, like, you know, if you are an avid game buyer, you go to like GameStop and stuff and you buy physical games, give it a year, 2 years, you're gonna see this in that like $5 bin they always have. That's like, you can get 3 games for $10 or whatever. This is gonna be in there. A lot of copies of this. This feels like one of those games that they put a stupid amount of money into, a stupid amount of time into, a stupid amount of like effort into, and I'm not sure why. This was the wrong direction, but again, I'm going to talk more about that in my final segment. So, yeah, to Friday, I had a little bit of a high point, I think, of all the days, but also my head is throbbing right now.
Well, that was day 5 of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Everything that I've said before, I suppose, applies. There was a lot of I don't know, but there's something different about this that opened my eyes up a little bit to what's going to happen later. I can see some of the cracks in the game design. So there were parts where the combat was fluid and everything was going and clicking, and I kind of understand. I hate the term, but the gameplay loop of what's going on here. So you start out talking and you do some talk, and apparently the choices matter, or at least the game outright tells you that the choices matter. I don't know if the choices matter, but that's what the impression is given. So, I mean, in a game like Dragon Age, with the pedigree that it has, you would expect something like that. But personally, I would reserve judgment on that until later in the game, which maybe I will get to. But that seems to be the point of the dialogue, and I did notice that you get points for different people depending on your choices. So in some ways the choices matter. I'd be curious if the choices matter from a storyline perspective as opposed to just like a simple stats perspective. That remains to be seen. Again, we'll see if I keep playing to the point that I can make that determination. One problem happened in this playthrough. We went to a city. Oh, I forget the name of the city already. But it's a merchant city, or a place where you buy things, like a market. And it was abandoned, except for a couple people that were like zombie type, like drones. Whatever, kind of cool. Like you see the blight infecting it. Problem: there was no combat. It was simply like a long story segment to get to talk to the mayor. And it's weird. It's like a strange dichotomy, because you would think, like, as a single player, not open world, straight game, you would have put combat leading up to that, but they removed all of the combat. There wasn't any combat, and it was just talking. And it wasn't even that much talking, to be honest. It was like, a tiny bit of exploration with very little, turns and twists. It was very straightforward. And then you just talk to the mayor. I feel like, and I'm going to talk about this very shortly because I'm going to transition to my overall views of the game. But it just feels very confused. Like, almost like they didn't know what kind of game they were making. So I'm conflicted on what I project the game to be later. I like the combat. I kind of am into it now, and I got to play with it even more and do a couple of new things. Like, there's an execute. It's whatever, but it's still there's more depth to it, which I like that they keep adding to it. I've got some new equipment, and that's fun. I guess you can build your way, which is, you'd want that in an RPG. So that's cool. But the dialogue part of it seems to be lacking. And that's really bad because, well, for two reasons. One is that games now have pushed that part so well. Like Baldur's Gate 3. This game isn't even in the same ballpark as Baldur's Gate 3. It's not even like a comparison. But the other problem is a unique problem in that the company that made this is famous for this kind of thing, for strong dialogue, for storylines, for choices that matter. And I think people would come to expect that from this game, and I don't see it. And so it's almost like a problem of its own pedigree, like breaking it. Obviously, the people that made the original Baldur's Gates and KOTOR, probably even the original Dragon Age, no longer work there. I would assume. I'm sure EA just put in the cheapest people they could find, and there you go. But to their credit, I think they made a decent game here. I'm going to transition over to my final thoughts.
All right, it's time for my final thoughts. I have spent a week playing Dragon Age the Veilguard, and I can tell you this: not a fun thing to do. I think part of what really made me dislike this game was forcing myself to play it. I've played a lot of other great RPGs this year. Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, Metaphor ReFantazio, like some truly fantastic RPGs, and like forcing myself to spend time with this one all a week when I could be playing other games. Like I just got Dynasty Warriors Origins, and that's bound to be a better hack and slash than this, and I want to play that. I don't want to play this. So I honestly think that's part of what made me not enjoy this game. I also do think it's a bad game, don't get me wrong, but I think it played a part, which is fun because that's part of the, I guess, experiment we're doing here. And you know, if this works, maybe we'll try it with some other games or something. Yeah, it was interesting. I think Dragon Age the Veilguard is a bad game that has a few highlights. They're not very big highlights, but like the gameplay's solid. The visuals don't look bad. Like, there are aspects of the game that I do like, but it also feels pretty soulless. It feels like it was made to just be a Dragon Age game, and nobody had a real passion for this project. And the writing is terrible. I have no real connection with most of the party members except for like one that I found along the way. And I think at the point that I stopped, I had 2 party members left to find. So I think I had 6 total, then there's 8 in the game. I don't remember. But I know I had 2 left to get. So who knows? Maybe those last 2 will be something I care about. It's just, again, when there's a year where, or not even a year, because this was last year, but when a generation when there's so many better RPGs out there, and I even hesitate to call this an RPG. It's hard to say like, oh, they tried, or you know, oh, it's good for what it is, because there's just so many examples of how to do this, like how to do an RPG, how to do something with D&D inspiration. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. How to do something with I don't know. Like again, I played Expedition 33 recently. That was very, very good. I can't justify this game. I can't justify its existence, and I don't trust BioWare. I don't trust this current BioWare at all. I felt that way for a while, but I had hope that they could pull this off because I really wanted it. I wanted this to work. Like, I remember when this game was announced, I was excited because it was a return to Dragon Age. I'm glad I didn't buy it. I almost did at one point, and I held off. Something felt wrong from this game, and I can tell you something is very wrong with Dragon Age the Veilguard. I bought it for $20. I think that was still too much. You know, and again, this is $20. Like, this wasn't on sale. This was like the standard price on Amazon. I think if you're interested, if you're like me and you like the old Dragon Age games and you're somewhat interested in playing this, $10 is the most. I would pay for Dragon Age the Veilguard. Or play it on some subscription service or something. I'm sure it's bound to be on EA Play, or I think Spencer's playing it on PS Plus. So he didn't have to buy this. I guess technically he bought the PS Plus subscription, so I guess he kind of bought it. Yeah, I don't think this game is very good, and I don't know if I'll see it through. I kind of want to just see if it improves at all, but like, you know, that also involves me playing the game more. But I kind of do want to see it through. Again, I think I would enjoy the game a little bit more if I wasn't forcing myself to play it every day. So I might, I mean, I own a copy. I might see it through and, you know, and see if I can make it to the end of the game, challenge myself to make it to the end of the game, maybe see if the, you know, I am curious if it, oh my god, my PlayStation's going off like crazy in there. I might see it through and see if it improves. But it's not like gonna take over my time gaming. I have so many other games I want to play. And so many games coming out that I want to play. It's like laughable that this game is even in my PlayStation library right now. So yeah, Dragon Age the Veilguard. I'm so glad I'm done. I do have some alcohol here. I'm gonna give a drink. This is Jim Beam Honey Bourbon. So Dragon Age the Veilguard. Oh yeah. It's over. I can stop playing this game now.
I'm just gonna do them here. This game is better than I thought. There's a lot of I almost said there's a lot of good here, but then I'm biting my tongue on that. There's a lot of decent here. I guess is my opinion. I don't. The tragic part of this game is that it does a lot of things decently, but nothing incredibly well. So it almost seems to be struggling to exist. Like there's no reason to say like you should play Dragon Age because of blank. It just doesn't exist. Like I should say you should play Dragon Age because of the combat. Well, no, the combat is serviceable, but it's not as good as say like Elden Ring or any Dark Souls, I would think. Or there's even better like action RPGs, like the newer Ys games. I think are more fun to play. So they're kind of screwed on that. But again, it's decent. But it would be like if that were good, we're decent. But you got to play it for the story, for the dialogue, for the choices, for the conversation piece. It actually doesn't do well. It actually probably does worse on that end than it does in the combat. So it's like, no, for that you'd play Baldur's Gate 3, you would play The Witcher. The Witcher 3 was way better. Probably Cyberpunk, but I don't play that. But a lot of newer games that have the option to have dialogue, I think do better than this game. None of the characters really pop in this game. And I saw Morrigan. So that was kind of cool, but again, she just was a character. I didn't really feel any oomph to it. Let's see. The graphics, again, serviceable, but you would never say play this game for the graphics, because they're not as good as any other game. Like any other game. They have their own style, but they're not as eye-catching, I think. So really, it comes to a problem where it's like who is this for? And I guess it's really just for people that like Dragon Age. But in that irony, it betrays a lot of what Dragon Age is, which I don't personally care if it betrays that. But the problem is, those are the only people that would have any interest in playing it, I feel. And it's really like a slap in the face to that series. So it even betrays it on that end. So I guess my final thought is this is a decent game that has no market that nobody should play, which sounds cruel, I suppose, but it's true. Like there's no reason to play it because you can always play any other game that's far better, and that's a shame because the individual parts are decent, but nothing stands out as extraordinary. And maybe that's like the ultimate curse. Is you're not super terrible, so it's not funny to talk about it, and then it's not super good, so it's not super rewarding to play. You're just somewhere in the middle, and you get completely lost. In the Veilguard. Anyway, that's my Dragon Age final thoughts. Thanks for watching.